So opening question, as we mentioned, 30 seconds. Why'd you decide to run for Congress?
That's an easy one, Alan. I've had the ability to live the American dream, and I'm a cancer doc, I'm a military veteran, I'm a business person, and I am very concerned about the direction of our country, and I want to do everything I could to secure the American dream for future generations.
Great answer. So just so everybody knows, I'm not going to ask all of the candidates the same questions, but there's going to be a theme here, and I am not going to go off script. So we'll talk about immigration for you as an immigrant. I think this is relevant. Should there be a pathway to legal immigration, or what should that pathway be for folks that are moving to the United States from other countries? And that is a huge issue for Kansas Chamber members, just from a workforce, and a lot of smart people out there, and they just can't get here legally. So what are your thoughts?
Well, the first thing I would say is I am very much pro-immigration. I've been down to the border, and immigrants are the driving engine of this country, right? We are a melting pot. We are a country of immigrants. We're all immigrants, right? And so we should be pro-immigration. The question is what's the right policy? And I'll just speak for Indian Americans for a second, right? There are folks that have tried to do this the right way, like my family. We're legal immigrants. My parents got here in the late 70s. It took us almost 20 years, right? And that's not right. The folks that are doing it the right way are being punished, and we're letting people kind of jump the line, and we got to do better, right? Now, for the needs of this country, there are other ways to meet those needs. Work programs, right? Amnesty is not a solution. It's not a labor solution. And geographic convenience shouldn't be a moral argument for amnesty either. I mean, there were folks that we left in Afghanistan that, had an absolute moral right to be here. And the way that we left Afghanistan was not a good situation. So I don't think amnesty is the right solution. I do think there should be a pathway, but I think we need to set the rules and not have clear-cut rules on, that's what businesses require, right? Just give us rules. But when we don't have rules and the rules keep changing on us, it's hard to have a forward-facing policy that makes sense. So the long and short of it is simple, right? Which is, of course, pro-immigration, of course, meet the needs of our country, particularly the business needs. But there are different pathways we can pursue, like work programs, work visas, that we should really think about, as opposed to other mechanisms, having folks come here illegally.
Thank you. So we'll ask energy, which I asked Congressman Mann a little bit about this. So fracking has been in the news because of the Democrat nominee Kamala Harris saying that she supports fracking, and fracking has certainly happened here in Kansas. Do you have any thoughts about that? Should there be more regulations, less regulations? But you can also expand on that on anything about energy if you feel appropriate.
No, I appreciate it, Alan. It's another critical question, right? Energy is a driving element of our economy and of our quality of life. And of course, we want a sound energy policy. And so what I would tell you is fracking, I think we should be very aggressive on American energy independence. And it's critical for our quality of life. It's critical to meet the needs of our businesses and our citizens. And so I would say we should do everything possible to have a aggressive energy policy, less regulation, more ability to meet the energy needs of our country. Another comment I'd make is not having these energy policies has implications on foreign policy. Tracy mentioned this, right? I mean, part of this is that without a rational energy policy, renewables like solar and wind can only probably meet 20% of our energy needs. Nuclear is something we should explore, but we should unlock American energy. We should unlock American innovation and figure out how to get these innovative energy solutions in place for our citizens. It'll be better for the entire world. I'll just throw in one other fact, Alan. America produces the cleanest energy in the world. We've reduced emissions by almost 80%, and that is a big deal. When we look to the rest of the world to come up with solutions, they're failing. We're the ones that are driving innovation in energy, and we should unlock that. And if we're able to effectively do that, I think the benefits are multiple, including, as I said, reducing the ability of bad actors, as Tracy put them, like the new axis of evil, right? China, North Korea, Iran, and Russia, from taking, let's just say, foolish adventures invading other countries. They would be much more unlikely to be able to do that if we had a better energy policy.
Thank you. So we got 4 minutes left. So the other candidates look at Eric, that good-looking guy over there with the blue tie, on the timing. So let's talk about trade and tariffs. That has been an interesting issue where sometimes the parties coalesce on tariffs. Our general point of view from the Kansas Chamber is tariffs are not good. We focus on state house issues, not federal issues, but wanted to get your thoughts about trade and tariffs.
Look, at the end of the day, I'm a free market guy, just like Tracy, and I'm sure a number of the other candidates. That's what I believe. I think free markets work. It's a core principle of economies that you unlock the potential of the people, you unlock the potential of businesses, they're going to do well, right? Less regulation, more innovation, leave it in the hands of our people. That is what has driven up, quality of life in this country for the 250 or so approximate years that we've existed. So in general, am I a huge fan of tariffs? Generally speaking, no, right? But if it's a tool, and we want to consider it in our armamentium of tools to consider, I don't think I would just, 100% just rule out the possibility of tariffs, because I think it's going to depend on each specific situation. By the way, if you came to me for cancer and you said, what are you going to do? I wouldn't just give you a boilerplate answer. I mean, it depends on the specifics. And so depending on that specific economic situation, depending on those details, the numbers, then we should think through whether it makes sense or not to consider that as an economic tool. But generally speaking, I'd say no.
I'm looking at Eric to figure out which question I have. Okay, this is probably a 2-minute question. Federal budget. How do you balance it? How about that for a question?
There you go. That's an easy one, right?
But what do you think is a pathway to balance it, and your thoughts about debt and deficit?
Look, this is an existential threat to this country. Each year now, with a $35 trillion national debt, we spend $1 trillion a year just on interest. As citizens, we're all carrying an extra $200,000 per person credit card bill. That is unacceptable. We have got to do better, not so much just for the folks in this room, but for our loved ones, our kids, our grandkids, our nephews and nieces. That's who deserves better. And so we, as adults in the room, have to come together and say, well, how are we going to fix this? So it is absolutely, at least an element of it is spending. And we have to do a much better job of controlling spending. We cannot tax our way out of spending. And that is a problem. So what I would start is every department. I'm a 20-year Air Force guy. Does the DOD have fraud, waste, and abuse? Somebody's going to hit me upside the head, but I guarantee you the answer is yes. So there is no department in the federal government that is free from having the scrutiny, and it's the job of Congress. It's the job of all of us that are existing Congress folks, and hopefully folks that get to the finish line to take that task on, and make sure that we're effectively spending taxpayer dollars.
Last question. So you got a minute or a little less than a minute, or take the full minute. Why should the Kansas business community in your district vote for you?
So first thing, I'm a Kansan, right? I've spent 40 years of my life in Kansas. I grew up in Manhattan, Kansas. I'm a K-Stater. I went to KU for medical school. I'm also a business person. I've lived this. I'm a Harvard Business School alum. I've run a $1 billion service line, a $1 billion business, and I've also run a small business. So I know what the folks in the audience are going through. I can relate. I'm going to be a champion. I believe in free markets. I believe in less regulation. And I believe in unlocking the power of businesses to meet the needs of our citizens. That's through products and services that you all provide. The question is how best we do that? Well, you need a champion. You need allies that understand what businesses do, the role that businesses play in our communities. It's work ethic, right? That people don't think about it. That's important. Culturally, that's important. You know, another thing that work provides is some meaning in life. That's a cultural thing. And then, of course, we provide products and services. But what businesses represent in the community is more than just dollars and cents. And that's what I want to fight for, is I want to unlock businesses in Kansas to provide the best for our communities.
Thank you, Doctor, very much. And thank you for running.
Thank you.